What did you do?
I didn't do anything to this.
Is it only...
I think I'm blaming this sucker right here.
What is that?
That's that AI update for Windows 11.
Oh, I disabled that.
I haven't figured out. I turned off most of it, but I'm blaming it. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Technical foibles in the third round.
It's limping along.
Yeah, we'll go until it crashes.
Cool.
If it crashes, that's the Christmas episode. We'll finish this episode, or we'll go till it's, and then that'll be what goes up.
Okay, cool.
That's this year's gimmick.
That's the gimmick.
We're racing the fucking crash.
Just like racing Santa.
Who races Santa?
Superman?
Does this happen?
Probably.
That's actually a dope movie idea. No, it's not. Never mind. I take that back.
Yeah, that's Red 1.
No, it's not.
If Red 1 had Superman in it, would have been a bit... Would
it be a better movie?
Mm-hmm.
Would it ended quicker? So I would have liked it more.
I think it should have had Superman, but from Injustice that doesn't understand Superman at all, and instead he just kills people.
Should have still would have ended quicker.
Would have ended much quicker if it was like they kidnapped Santa, and then he comes back, but he goes too fast, and he comes back with just like part of Santa.
The military knows Santa's real in that movie. They like give him F-16 escorts into the air.
That's really funny.
It's not. Trust me, I've seen the movie. It's not funny.
Sounds funny to me. We find different things funny.
It's true. I like funny stuff. You like garbage. I've got a perfect palate.
No.
You've got a cleft palate. Normally, we record these in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I wake up. The warm-up gets me into it. Recording this one so late means I might just tank by the end of it.
This is KAFM After Dark.
Yeah.
It is.
We'll see what goes first. My brain or this computer?
Both are fried.
I'm worried now about what this is, but I'm not going to put effort into solving it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
We got it going, and that's all it's going to be.
We gotta start getting into it.
Do we?
Yeah.
Are you worried now that this will be a 9-minute episode?
No, I'm worried that it's gonna be 2 hours long, and it's gonna be us all sleepy.
That's not gonna happen.
Us all sleepy for the Christmas episode. Like, this movie happened.
It did happen. What the fuck is happening with this computer?
Do we just want to scrap it and try a different day?
No.
Okay.
The thing's running. It's in my hand. If I'm holding it, I'm going, brother. I'm like Evel Knievel with this shit. They lined the buses up.
If I'm holding it, I'm running. I'm just imagining, like, grab a dude's, like, penis and just...
That's what you're imagining?
I'm tired.
Okay. Welcome to KAFM Christmas special.
Our first inaugural Christmas special.
This is going to be a tired Christmas. Where I'm a little bit annoyed because my computer's crashing and I can't figure out why.
The computer's dying and it is past sunset. So this is the latest we've ever filmed. Maybe the computer's sleepy. Maybe that's what's going on.
I don't believe robots have emotions.
That's not what I said. I don't think the robot's scared of anything. I think the robot's tired.
Sleep is an emotion.
No, it's not. It's a physical response.
But like lizards don't go like, I'm sleepy. Which would like, because they don't have emotion brains.
Correct. They don't say anything at all because they don't say anything.
But like an animal can be like, I'm sleepy. But a lizard can't. They just like pass out or whatever. They shut down on a rock in the sun.
Believe it or not, humans are the only animal that can verbalize "I am sleepy" in those
but animals
words.
Can feel it. They have emotions.
Yeah. Are you saying that lizards don't have any kind of physical stimulus that they internally feel in their body that tells them it's time to shut down?
Holy shit, that was so many bigger words. I said, I'm sleepy. My man brought out a stimulus.
It is. It's a physical reaction.
The only stimulus I remember is when Trump gave me $600. That was 4 years ago when 1 million people died. I wish they turned into werewolves.
We're not even talking about that movie.
Frank Grillo's Christmas special.
Frankie Gorillion released a bajillion werewolves. Quick rundown of that movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them wolves.
And they only showed like 8 in the movie. I was kind of upset.
I don't think they could make that many costumes.
It was CGI sometimes.
Very little. Because I don't think they had the money for that either.
I think they could have animated a brilliant werewolves.
So on this Christmas special, we decided to have a gimmick. Because it's a special, right? It's supposed to have one.
Yeah, but we didn't want to just outright go for holiday movies.
Because I don't give a shit.
And I have seen all of them, and most of them are fine. I'm going to say it right here, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. If you like Home Alone, you remember Home Alone a lot more fondly than that movie actually should be remembered.
Okay.
Home Alone is a solid 2 out of 10.
And I'm going to say this. I wish I was home alone right now.
All right, we'll record quick. We'll blitz through this. This will be the shortest episode yet.
In the season of giving.
It's trying to manifest the computer dying.
I would just upload it right there. 8 minutes. There you go. Merry fucking Christmas.
2 movie reviews, and both are from me of movies. Werewolves and Home Alone.
That's my backup plan. If this crashes early, that's what the title of the movie's.
Those are the movies. All right.
No, we said, hey, season of giving. Let's both pick a movie genre we want as our Christmas wish, and then the other person will find us the movie.
Yeah.
So I said mystery.
You said, give me a movie of a guy figuring stuff out.
Well, yeah, but I was like a mystery where like a dude is like, I gotta piece this one together.
Yeah, you wanted. I don't think you said the word detective, but you were kind of dancing around the.
That's definitely. I had probably just seen The Little Things with Denzel Washington, and I was like, I want to see another dude put shit together.
Well, because there's also been some TV that you've been watching that is very. There was one, I think it was on Apple, about a.
Oh, Sugar. Yeah, I watched some detectives recently. I watched like one of them Kenneth Branagh Poirot's.
Oh, I love the Poirot trilogy.
I've seen 2 of them now. I've seen the third and then the first.
Oh, so you haven't seen Death on the Nile?
No, but I've heard it sucks. So
it's fine. It's definitely a low point in the trilogy. I really liked A Haunting in Venice more than I thought I would, because I was like, oh, third one in. It's like. And this isn't one of the more famous ones because he's already done the 2 big ones with Murder on the Orient and Death on the Nile. Like, he's done the big ones. It's like, what's A Haunting in Venice? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters and I loved it. And I was like, I gotta check these out. And then I waited 1.5 years, and then I saw Murder on the Orient Express, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Death on the Nile came out in the middle of production happened during like COVID. So like shit was hard, and then Armie Hammer got outed for probably eating women, and so they were like, all right, and he's the groom in that movie. I guess there's a wedding, and so like they had to edit around him. So there's funny trailers of like as he lifts up IDF super soldier Gal Gadot, and then like right before you see his face, it cuts. Man, they're lucky that didn't come out now. They just have to cut both of them from the movie. Poirot solves a wedding murder. Whose? Annie, Dad, don't worry about it.
I will say, like, just thinking about that, Kenneth Branagh is my favorite director that can direct himself as an actor.
He's really good.
It's such good shit.
So anyway,
I wish we had watched one of them. No, these were good movies.
These are good. I picked mystery, and you said
drugs.
Yeah. And I was like a movie about drugs, a movie with drugs in it, and you're like, just a lot of drugs.
Just yeah, like a central point of the movie. Because I was thinking, because there was a time our group that we usually see movies with went and saw Cocaine Bear, and I had missed that. So I thought, it's like, oh, maybe this will be my opportunity to finally, because I don't care enough to watch Cocaine Bear on my own.
I don't care enough to watch Cocaine Bear a second time.
Yeah. But I was thinking Cocaine Bear, Wolf of Wall Street, like there were some more recent or at least more famous ones I was thinking of.
That's not what I fucking picked.
No, you did not, but love the choice that I adore. It got a little heart on Letterboxd from me. You can find us on Letterboxd.
But the movie you picked for me was
This is one we started with.
The Man.
The Third Man.
I was gonna say The Thin Man. I was like, that's not right. The Tall Man.
This is
It's The Third Man.
I think the movie's from 1949, takes place in 1948 in occupied Austria, Vienna. And it's about a guy who immigrates to this country because his buddy's got a job for him. He gets to the country and he knocks on his friend's door, and basically the guy that takes care of his friend's apartment complex is like, "Oh, you just missed him. He died."
Yeah, and the dude's like, "Well, I got to find out who did it."
It's like, "Well, I kind of live here now." So.
And that dude is not Orson Welles.
No,
but
even
his
though,
name's all over the fucking poster.
yeah, he's listed first on everything.
So like, he's got to show up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we've got to do an hour of putting stuff together.
And it's much more interesting than it sounds.
Yeah, and I wanted to point that out. This was exactly what I wanted. When you're like, I was like, I want a dude putting stuff together. This is just him asking questions. This America in Vienna, which at the time is post World War II, so there's French, Russians, British, and English garrisons all over that thing. So there's 4 languages and then German. And it's him just in conversations with people he doesn't understand.
No subtitles. Every now and then there might be a translator, or
Trying
they
to
might say something in English.
Figure out how his friend died.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of fun.
His friend's, the main character's name is Holly.
Sure could be.
It's Holly, not Holly Mason. It's Holly. Holly. We'll just say Holly.
Like
and
the plant.
Yeah, but his best friend who died, that guy's name is Harry Lime. And I thought that was a very silly name.
Yeah, that's like straight out of fucking Clue. Like the board game.
Yeah, it felt very much, it felt like a who wrote the Marlowe books?
Oh, like Big Sleep and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know the name. I know the book.
But like that feels like a name out of, like it feels like a classic kind of noir name, Harry Lime.
Do you know there's a Marlowe movie that came out like last year?
Yeah, with
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I want to check it out.
So do I. I saw it because like it came out like I think a little after we were in those. It's like
we were in a class where we had to watch The Big Sleep or something.
Yeah, and like it came out just after that, and yeah, I wanted to see it, but like it had just passed when we were watching that stuff, so I was like, eh.
It's one of those things where it's like apparently famous to everyone else. I've never heard of this Marlowe character, but people know about it, and that's kind of like The Third Man.
Yeah.
Where I found out it's actually like an Orson Welles, like, oh yeah, that's an Orson Welles film. Like, oh, he was really good in it, blah, blah, blah.
We're watching it for an hour, like, well, where is he?
Yeah. Really good as what? The background? Is he holding up the set? We build it on his fat ass? What the fuck is this?
He was not overweight at this point.
No.
He still looked incredibly handsome.
You don't think he looked handsome when he was fat? He had the beard? I think he had it going on.
Yeah, with the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean, ooh?
No,
Imagine
like
porking some wells. He's imagining pork of his own. I don't think it's you, buddy. I think it's braised ribs. I'm allowed to make those jokes because he ate himself to death.
I just think about he was in Orson Welles was in the original Casino Royale James Bond movie.
Was he?
Yeah, but he was in it for like 30 seconds as the character that eventually Mads Mikkelsen would play
That's funny.
in the good Casino Royale. And I just remember when he showed up, he plays Le Chiffre and he's playing cards. You never see him stand once in that movie. He is sitting in all of his
Because there's
scenes.
4 Marrakesh slaves holding him up, walking him from room to room. I would watch Orson Welles as Hannibal.
I would watch Armie Hammer as Hannibal.
What is Hugh Dancy? Will Turner? What is his name? In Hannibal? The boy he's trying to fuck?
I have no idea.
Oh, you haven't seen Hannibal.
No.
It's gay. You'll like it. Unless you get grossed out by eating people.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. In like the first episode, you see someone like mashing lungs like he's like
Ew.
massaging meat.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a great show.
You're kind of a freak.
But Orson Welles is not in it because
No.
he's long dead. He died in that horrible explosion in space. He was killed by Optimus Prime.
His head is now a moon.
Surprised his ass is in the moon. How fat he was by the time Optimus blew the shreds.
God, I still remember the pissed off interviews. Like, I'm some big toy fighting smaller toys. He was so mad that that's where his life went.
He seemed almost amused by it. He's like, this is a hilarious way for the greatest director of all time to die.
Greatest director of all time?
I mean, at that point, and also like film history wise.
I will cop that he is a pioneer.
Okay.
That's as far as I'll go.
I'm not marking him greatest director. I'm just saying he's on the list all the time.
Okay.
By incredibly good directors. By Spielberg's and Scorsese's.
Yeah, well...
I know they're no Russo brothers, your number one favorites.
Shut the fuck up. No, I just feel like the world has moved on, and now, like, generations going forward will be remembering Spielberg's more.
Mm-hmm.
And then a different great director is going to rise up, a Jordan Peele maybe, and then Jordan Peele will be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peele's, I think, a better writer than a director. I really like his scripts and ideas, but I'm trying to think if there's anything like super inventive
in his directing.
Yeah.
Nope's kind of fucking sick.
Yeah, there's a lot of
good camera work in Nope. That's cool.
A lot of good visuals. Yeah.
Get Out has one funny moment or one good scary moment.
Okay.
I wasn't really a big Get Out fan.
You said that real quiet into the mic because
I'm just trying to remember it. I don't really remember it.
You seen Us?
No, I saw Get Out and I saw Nope.
Okay, we saw Nope. Nope was sort of the progenitor of KAFM.
Oh yeah, the first time we saw movies, like we all went out.
Yeah, we all went out, saw movies, and then like we were all standing in the parking lot for like basically the runtime of another movie talking about it.
We got 5 guys and saw a movie. They fucking took us for all we were worth. $150 just to go see a movie if you buy a burger and a ticket at the fucking AMC.
Jesus.
So we're not talking about 5 guys. We're talking about 3 guys.
Well, supposedly. So yeah, he is told, Holly is told that his friend Harry Lime was hit by a bus and then 2 guys dragged him out of the street onto the sidewalk and like he was dead. Like ambulance showed up, took him away, he was dead. And so he's walking around trying to figure out who are these guys that were with my friend, and he hears from a British cop. It's like, oh, Harry Lime, he was the biggest racketeer in this city. I know of him. I'd hardly want to know him and stuff like that.
Your best friend was the biggest piece of shit I've ever met, and I killed Hitler.
Wait a minute.
Like that's what's crazy is they're like talking about how terrible he is, and they're like standing in a bombed out previously German occupied city, and they're like, he might be the worst guy I've ever heard of. It's like, did you forget 4 minutes ago? Did you forget 2 months ago?
Again, this is 1948 that this movie takes place in.
Like we haven't even given Germany back to the Germans yet. We're still hunting down Gestapo. He's not great. He's not a good dude, but...
Had the trials even happened at Nuremberg yet? Because I thought that was in the early 50s.
Probably. I mean, there's probably... I mean, you're probably right. The trials probably hadn't happened, but like there's still...
They're getting ready to...
Some fallout from the World War. It takes a minute.
Probably, you know, the worst atrocity in recent modern human history.
Mm-hmm.
Was everything that happened worldwide at that time.
But this guy killed like 30 people, so he's the worst one of the bunch.
Yeah, so I guess a little bit out of order, we learned that the thing that Harry Lime had been doing was he got an inside man at this hospital to steal penicillin and then was cutting the penicillin like crazy and selling it, you know, making it go further, selling it a little cheaper but still able to turn a dime on it. And the issue is that people need real penicillin, not penicillin in
shit water penicillin.
Yeah, shit water penicillin.
Like they basically say whatever it is, it's not clinically safe. It infects you, and you basically rot from the inside.
Yeah, and they were like, and this guy was like, men sick with gangrene, pregnant women, children, Holly. Children died.
And he's like, the dead ones are lucky, which is intense for this type. I don't know. Whenever I go to 40s movies, and this isn't over a blanket across the case, but a lot of times they're a little soft in the sense that you'll talk about shooting someone or someone will get shot and they'll kind of fall over and stuff like that. But we don't really get super, super hard subject matter. Like there are gangrenous babies filling that room over there. Hang around about an hour 20. We'll walk in there. We won't show you, but we'll show you them throwing out the toys.
I feel like sensitivities between then and now, it's not so much that sensitivities have changed in terms of, we talk about it less. I just feel like since movies were fewer and further between, scripts had more time to really put a sharper point on it to talk about it, instead of creating just that text of, dead babies, gun violence in the streets and stuff. There was more not flowery, but a more like succinct and eloquent way to put it that would convey that message to the audience without needing to get really visceral and detailed. But nowadays, desensitization.
I think it also reflects the times, just even like how people talked.
You get the same thing with talking about sex in movies.
Yeah, and that leads into like the Hays Code and all that, which is what led to double entendre.
Yeah,
because you couldn't say. But anyway,
bun in the oven.
It's not really sex talk. That's just like you're pregnant.
But that's included in the double entendre.
Okay.
Yeah, you couldn't say pregnant on cable television. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I know they couldn't sleep in the bed together and stuff like that, like in I Love Lucy. But
Dick Van Dyke, I have the entire Dick Van Dyke show over there, and they had separate beds. Shit's crazy. Anyway,
so the third man, basically, he's like, your friend was a piece of shit. And he's like, there's no way.
His friends were piece of shit. The guys that were with him that we pulled when, to ask about what happened, they're also pieces of shit.
And he meets a dude that looks like Austrian Dracula, who's like, I'm the nicest man you'll ever meet. And he smiles evilly with pointed teeth.
We should point out that 95% of this movie is shot with Dutch angles.
That are cool. And like every time they talk, close-ups, like over the shoulders, reversals, it'll be like a Dutch angle. But with this dude, it is as Dutch as it gets. We're basically filming him sideways as he's like head tilted, pointy teeth, looking down under his eyebrows at you. And he's like, trust me, your friend was a good man and I worked with him my whole life. What was my job? How about you take a hike, buddy? Oh, shit, the cops. He hightails it.
Sir, where were you during the war? Don't worry about it.
I was Rolf from The Sound of Music.
Never let your children be actors.
But anyway, he says, hey, your friend Harry, before he died, told me to take care of you. And he goes, wait a minute. The last guy said, I'm just talking like him. What the fuck am I doing? Anyway, he says, the last guy said he died without saying it. Like,
he died immediately on impact from the bus. What are you talking about? That he told you to take care of me and stuff.
And the dude can't really explain that away. And that's all it is. And that's what I like about this movie. It's this one little thread that he goes, well, that's weird. I've got two stories. And one person is telling me they're going to take care of me and my friend said it. The other person said my friend didn't say anything. Who's like,
yeah,
what's true because it's my friend. And that just leads into, one of my favorite tropes in any movie is just bumbling into bigger and bigger circumstances.
He does it. Where I knew the main character was going to be really cool is he knows or he suspects that like this guy, this very
evil,
this very suspicious Austrian,
this evil European piece of shit,
is just like it's just like, oh, before he died, he was dead by the time the ambulances got here, but when we dragged him out of the street, he told me to take care of you because you were on the way, and all this stuff. He's like, well, the porter over at the apartment complex told me different. He looks at the Austrian, looks across the street at the porter, and just walks right over and talks to that guy. It's not like, okay, later I'm gonna have a different conversation. It's right in front of this guy. He's like, I don't believe you because I don't know you, and that's so much of this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know anything. I'm not from here. I don't know the politics around 4 different countries occupying Vienna right now, and I don't care. I need to know what happened to my friend.
I'm the brash, uneducated American, and that's going to work to my advantage.
We need more movies like that.
They're fucking awesome. They work on me. Like propaganda or whatever, sure. If you're just like, hey, they're all smarter than you, but you're saying what needs to be said, buddy. I'm like, hell yeah, ride or die. And this dude is a ton of fun. He's like, his thing is he writes like pulp novels and stuff, like The Oklahoma Kid and like High Noon at whatever.
Yeah, the Santa Fe Rider, I think, was another one. Does that come up? It just comes up in that, like, there's a cop named like Lieutenant Payne that works under the other cop that told him that his friend was a piece of shit. That's like, oh, I like your books.
It only comes up in the sense of framing him as the uneducated American. He's the pulp novelist. He goes like his hotel's getting paid for by this dude who wants him to do like a talk at like a high society thinkers like discussion forum.
Yes. Oh, you're a published novelist. We'd love to have you. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I'd talk about.
Yeah, and when he gets there finally, like he's asked all these high concept ideas that he's like, I write stories about a good guy and a bad guy and stuff.
I write cowboy books. I don't know what you want from me.
But he's supposed to be the cowboy from out of town is kind of the framing. Even with how it ends with his silhouette and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That being said, he's a ton of fun as a character. That's twice now these old movies have had really, really enjoyable characters. I mentioned the 39 Steps, the original from Alfred Hitchcock, from like the 20s or whatever. They feel oddly like you could pull them into a modern movie and people would still like this character.
Yeah.
You might have to like update little things here and there, but
put it in color. I genuinely feel like black and white is a big hindrance for modern audiences.
I think they should get over. I watched black and white movies when I was a kid, and I did not have the context that they were old. I just thought that was what the world was like other places. Like I would watch the Marx Brothers. I was raised on like Marx Brothers comedies that are in the 30s and 20s, and like they would take steam trains and locomotives and stuff like that, and like these fancy ballrooms with all this like 20s era 30s crap. I legitimately just thought that was what high society was in real life.
Was black and white?
No, it was like the 20s and the 30s. And it's like for black and white, to me, it was just sometimes movies were made black and white, sometimes they were color.
Really?
I had no concept for like age dictating that.
I learned really young because my mom is a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. And so she would tell me, it's like, these are movies from when I, like, from before me, or like when I was little, I grew up watching these movies. I had the concept that, I understood the concept that children grow up. So I'm like, okay, however old my mom is, when my mom was a kid, these movies were still kind of old.
I didn't have. I went to school. I brought that shit up like Marx Brothers, and everyone looked at me. I was fucking crazy. Like, you don't watch Cartoon Network? I was like, I'm not. No, I don't have any cable at home. I watch old black and white. I watch I Love Lucy, and they were like, we don't know what that is. Please leave us alone.
That's me with.
And now here I am.
That's me with Dick Van Dyke, the Mary Tyler Moore Show. No, I MASH. God,
weren't you telling me earlier how you had no friends in elementary school?
Yes, I was bullied.
It's kind of the theme of this podcast.
That I was bullied?
Yeah.
Yeah, by you.
And we end up here, bullied film majors.
I'm bullied by you daily.
But that's irrelevant. You chose to take your pain and turn it into love for the world.
Yeah.
I chose to take the pain and use it. Iron sharpens iron.
What happened next in this movie?
Orson Welles shows up and the lights turn on and he smirks and I lit up. He shows up an hour and 10 minutes into this fucking hour 40-minute movie and he's on fire. Yeah,
so over the course of the film, the reason it's called The Third Man is some of the stories that he's heard, like from the porter, is that no, it was 3 guys that dragged your friend out of the street, not 2. But everybody he's talking to, police, he's talking to like important officials, all of them are saying it was 2 guys.
The 2 guys supposedly who pulled Harry Lime out of the street say, yeah, it was 2 guys, but the one like witness says it was 3.
Eventually, he's piecing together, and he's made friends with Harry Lime's girlfriend
at time of death.
Yeah, girlfriend at time of death, and she's trying to help him piece this stuff together because she liked Harry. It's like, I want to know what happened to him too.
But she's also unfortunately German, and so she's a liar by nature and covering something up, and you have to figure out what it is.
Are you speaking to the propaganda of the film, or is that your own, like, do you feel that here?
I think it's World War II. She's 24. You see her certificate in this movie?
Okay.
She's 24. 48? So she was 20 in 1944. She was conscripted by that point. They put all men, women, and children to the front lines by 45.
Okay.
I'm just saying. We got a Nazi in the house. We gotta send them Inglorious Bastards in to take care of her. Send the boys from Fury.
That's just Brad Pitt again.
We'll sort it out.
That's what we got to do. When World War III breaks out inevitably in Germany again, we'll just send Brad Pitt.
We will. We'll send Brad Pitt and a crack team. Whoever he needs.
Crack team, that's the next movie.
I can't wait for that movie, dude. Start talking about Orson Welles so we can get to that next fucking flick.
Yeah, so we learned that there was a third man, and when he's wandering through the streets, he thinks he's being tailed, like there's a target on his back. The porter gets killed because he talks to the wrong guy and says, well, the porter said that it was 3 guys. Like a day later, Porter's dead. And so he's walking through the streets, and he sees a cat like run up to a person in the shadows. And he follows the cat up to the shadows. He sees shoes. And he's like, you're not a very good spy. I can see you. Come on out, Buster. And he walks up, and it's Orson Welles.
A disgruntled German woman turns on her Porsche light or whatever, and like Orson Welles lights up and he smirks.
He illuminates. He lights up the movie.
And in that moment, you're like, that's the greatest actor of all time right there.
He is what this movie needed, because the main guy, I'm blanking on his name. He was also in Citizen Kane. He is such a driving force in this movie, which a good lead actor should be.
Yeah.
But like nobody, being the lone American, nobody was matching that energy.
He needs a foil. He's the cowboy, and he needs the desperado.
And he got one. God, Orson Welles is so good, because Orson doesn't play it like they're enemies.
No, because they're old friends.
Yeah, they're buddies. And he's like, hey, I've heard some like whack things about you. He's like, that's not true. You want money?
And he's
takes him on a Ferris wheel,
gives the speech of his life, and he's quickly like, listen, you got called here because you and I were kind of pieces of shit in America. We did gambling, we did whatever, all together, but God damn it, we're good together. And he's like, do you really give a shit about all these strange Germans? All these fucking Austrians? We could make money.
Yeah, they're up in a Ferris wheel, and Orson Welles opens the door. This is a large standing room Ferris wheel.
Yeah, it's like the 40s.
Well, I'm just for context of
Okay.
this isn't like a little 2-seater that you strap into.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I forgot those exist.
Yeah, they're walking around inside this big Ferris wheel cage, and Orson Welles opens up the door and he's like, look down there. What if I gave you $15,000 for every one of those little dots that stopped moving? Would you tell me to keep my money, or would you start calculating how many of those dots you could live with?
It's fucking sick. And then he like intimates that he'll shoot our lead right there. And then the lead's like, I talked to the cops before I came here. They can piece 1 and 2 together. And he's like, oh, fuck, you talked to the cops. They found out he faked his death. He's like, shit. And so then that leads to like, well, I'm going to get out of Dodge with all my money, which was the whole plan here, to basically take this racket elsewhere. And Holly decides, brother, you got to go in.
I guess it's worth noting that the way that they faked his death was they pushed their inside man in front. The third man was Orson Welles himself, and his inside man that was stealing the penicillin for him, they had pushed him in front of the bus, and just the only witness again was up in a building. He was cleaning windows. The porter was like cleaning windows or something, and so just saw 3 people in a body out down on the street.
Knowing that twist doesn't ruin the movie, because like I recommend you check it out, just because Orson Welles isn't in the movie and they're looking for the third man, and I'm like, well, it's gonna be somebody. It's probably gonna be the lead and top billed guy that's not in this movie.
I would say both movies in this episode definitely check out for different reasons.
But yeah, that's the third man. I don't have a ton to say other than it's interesting.
They chase Orson Welles around the sewer for a long time because they kept finding cool places to set up shots, because old sewers looked awesome.
And then they shoot him in a stairwell, and then we get a shot that mirrors the beginning. But our Lone Ranger decides to stay home, or stay in Vienna and lean on a literal wagon and wait for the girl who walks by him, so he smokes a cigarette alone.
Now, there was a moment where like they're leaving the real funeral this time of I keep wanting to say Jack Lemmon because that's like a real guy. Harry Lime.
Who the fuck is Jack Lemmon?
Don't worry about it.
That just sounds like a gay porn star. I hate to break it to you.
No, I don't need to. I don't want to justify myself right here on fucking
On the Christmas episode.
Google him. Go to Google Images, turn off Safe Search, and then Google Jacqueline.
Do this in front of your family on Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas.
I don't know who this is, but I'm betting it's dirty.
No, he's an actor.
Pornographic actor. A gay pornographic actor.
Yeah, so the last shot of the movie is really
Orson
cool.
Welles' butt boy.
The last shot of the movie is really cool in that, like, he tells the guy driving him to the airport, he's like, no, stop, because Harry's girlfriend is like walking alone away from the funeral. He's like, stop, I want to like wait up for her. And so he's waiting at the front of the shot, and it's just this long, beautiful shot of like the cemetery parkway with the trees. I love this shot. And she's like walking up, and we're on it the whole time. She walks all the way up and doesn't even look at him, just walks right past. And so he just lights a cigarette, looks at it like it's just you and me again, smokes his cigarette, and that's the movie.
So now we get to talk about the next movie. The movie I picked for you with the theme drugs. I'm of course talking about Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, which is not related to the Abel Ferrara 90s movie Bad Lieutenant, although is conceptually similar, but is denied to be a remake or a sequel of or any relation by Werner Herzog, the director.
Two-time KAFM guest Werner Herzog.
Neither of his more famous movies. Starring Nicolas Cage, also not his famous movies.
This is I said it in my Letterboxd review. I said it when we were watching the movie, and I'll say it here. This is probably the performance of Nick Cage's life. I love him in this movie. I have never been more locked in for a Nicolas Cage role.
It fucking rules.
This movie rips so much. I know I never want to see another Werner Herzog movie because I know he makes artsy bullshit, and I'd rather just he make this movie 10 more times.
Bad Lieutenant is set in New Orleans right after Katrina, where Nicolas Cage is a cop who takes a fall and just shatters his spine.
Yeah, so it's Nicolas Cage and Val Kilmer, who is in approximately an eighth of this movie.
If that even.
Yeah. I think there's enough little cameos of Val
walking in the background.
Yeah, there's enough little moments of Val. But they're in a prison, they're in a precinct,
like a holding cell sort of deal.
Yeah, they're in a precinct, and they're going to clear out somebody's locker. Again, this is like right after Katrina, and Val Kilmer's like, I don't know, man. He just wanted me to clear out his locker. What do you think? He's got dirty pictures of his wife. They look through the guy's locker. Nicolas Cage finds dirty pictures of the guy's wife. He's like, wouldn't you know? I'm keeping these.
And then immediately they find a prisoner that they're like, all right, we got to save him. He's drowning. But they're betting on when he's going to drown.
Mm-hmm. Val Kilmer's ready to leave.
Yes. Nick Cage tries to save him and just fucks himself up in the fall.
We just see him jump, and then it cuts to a doctor's office where he's just like, oh, you're gonna be feeling this in your back for the rest of your life. Here's 1,000 doses of Vicodin. Hard cut to 6 months later, and Nicolas Cage is bumping cocaine off of the back of his hand before getting out of the car at a crime scene.
It's awesome.
We do not see the slow decline. It is just hard cut to 6 months later. He's doing cocaine,
which is respectable because the way it's framed, like when he's handed Vicodin, you know his life's fucked up, but you also know it's gonna get bad. But we don't see that. Like you're saying, there's no rising or falling. We fell. We're just at rock bottom. He's like fixing his hair, sweaty. He walks into a room where just men, women, and children have been gang style executed. And he's like, this shit is crazy, dog. I gotta go get more cocaine.
He walks through the house. He looks at a goldfish and leaves.
And he goes to his prostitute girlfriend, who he kind of pimps out,
but also like is his sugar mom.
Yeah,
because like she's
got the cash because he, as we find out soon, gambles all his money away.
And he's just like, I need more cocaine. I just don't have the money. And she's like, don't worry, sweetie, mama's got the money. It's like, okay.
They do cocaine together, and then he leaves to go hunt down these murderers.
Werner Herzog calls him, but he does not answer the phone.
It's true. Werner Herzog calls her saying, I would like sex.
No.
And he goes downtown to the club because he's going to find out who did it, and is what we think.
Yeah.
Instead, he harasses a man with a prostitute-ish. It seems like she's a hooker.
Maybe.
And he ends up harassing them for drugs. They think they're going to get booked for like solicitation and dealing.
He's like, does my dad have to know about this? Please don't tell my parents that I'm getting arrested for drugs.
And instead, Nicolas Cage takes their crack, has the prostitute blow the crack smoke into his mouth, then fucks her on the hood of his car while pointing his gun at the dude, telling him he has to watch.
Dude tries to run, and Nicolas Cage pulls probably the largest hog leg I've ever seen in a movie. Like, this is a pretty large handgun.
It's a fucking dirty hair.
It's a dirty hair.
And he's got it stuck in his waistband, just hanging out of his gut. Like, it's his dick. To the point where later in the movie, he goes, a man without a gun is nothing. He loses his gun and steals it back in 2 scenes later.
Yeah, he pulls his gun out, fires it in the air. He's like, where the fuck do you think you're going? You're going to come back here and you're going to watch.
We're 20 minutes in the movie. This is the 20 minutes, like I mentioned to you, I watched.
Yeah.
Just to make sure this was worth recommending. Because I had heard about it, but I'd never seen it. This happened and I was like, all right, we're calling in the boys. We're watching this fucking shit. It's awesome. I don't like the story is kind of about him trying to solve a murder, but he figures out pretty quickly who did it,
and he doesn't care. And there's a point later in the movie when he's talking to somebody and he's just like, here's the secret. I've never cared.
Because once he figures out who did it, spoilers, it was Exhibit and his two goons who are named G and what's the other one named? Duncan?
Midget.
What's funny is that we learn about these characters right after we see a little person walk by the screen. And so I assume that's a hint, right? Like, oh, he was just there.
Entirely unrelated little person. And in fact, the guy
named
is like 5'6".
Yeah. Which is just awesome.
Just a different guy.
One real quick thing we forgot. Welcome to KAFM. I'm John.
I'm Duncan.
I'm going to leave that in right here because this Christmas is a disaster.
Like most Christmases.
Not mine. Your Christmases are bad?
My Christmases aren't bad, but family is a lot.
Nah.
You were just telling me about your Thanksgiving.
Was I? Today?
Not today, but you told us.
Well, I'm going to cut that. I can't risk that. No. No, Christmas are awesome.
I forget your family listens to this.
Not really.
Okay, never mind.
Occasionally. But say whatever you want. I'll stand to it. 2 or 3 Christmases ago, my mom and sister were yelling at each other, and I leaned over to the Google Home and I said, hey, play Dominic the Donkey, and I turned it on to full volume. And so while they're screaming, slowly clip, clop, starts fading in, and then they turn and look at each other in the middle of screaming. I'm going, chickadee chee, hee-haw, hee-haw, it's Dominic the Donkey. Hee-haw, the Italian Christmas donkey. In between just like, I'll fucking leave. I don't even need to be here. I'll do Christmas by my fucking self. This is Christmas Eve. The problem was probably something related to fucking mashed potatoes. No, we don't eat mashed potatoes on Christmas. What do we eat?
Yams.
Pierogi.
Pierogi?
Yeah.
Christmas pierogi?
My grandmother used to make them. Welcome to Poland, motherfucker.
We have...
You want me to bring you a rogi? You want me to save you a rogi?
I would love a traditional.
I made some last year. I was folding them over and stuff. I'll bring you a rogi.
We have
one in my pocket.
These aren't pierogies.
You gotta reach in and get it.
These are your balls again.
There's only one way to find out. It's your Christmas gift.
I thought my gift was Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh, it's awesome. This is going to become a Christmas movie for me. I'm going to gather the family around, put on Bad Lieutenant.
You mentioned that like the tension in the movie is perfect, not because there's real tension, but because you don't know what the next scene is going to be. You don't know what the line delivery is going to be.
No.
Because there's a point God, I don't know how. It's hard to gauge how deep into the movie this is, but he goes to see his bookie at one point.
Yeah.
And he just walks into the bar, and it's framed really nice. This guy's sitting right in the middle of the restaurant, right in the middle of this big, sports bar. He walks up to this guy. He like sniffs his nose. He like rubs his nose, like he just did a little bump, and like hands out, just screams the guy's full name, just government names him, screams it in the middle of the sports bar. He's like, "How you doing? How you living?"
He's basically like, "What's up? How's it going?" And then he immediately like is fiddling with the newspaper, and he just like throws down some crazy $1,000 bet that won't happen on some fucking college team.
Yeah, two grand like on Louisiana v Georgia or something.
It's awesome. This is also what makes this tense is that he'll pull his gun on anybody.
He'll pull his gun on anybody.
To the point where he doesn't know the gun's coming out and the scene doesn't know the gun's... There's no indication. Like, the scene will be wrapping up and he'll turn around and be like, you know what? And then the gun's out and in someone's face. But, like, the first time he pulls a gun, there's a standoff in, like, a little, like a home, kind of like the... I don't know if it's the projects or if it's just, like, dilapidated post-Katrina.
All of it looks like that post-Katrina.
Yeah, but so these two houses are connected by this backyard. And he sneaks in, he puts his gun up to a drug dealer's head, and he goes, "Don't fucking breathe." And then we cut to him leading him out the front door to the rest of the cops. And then he turns and he looks almost dead into the camera, and he goes, "I love it. I just fucking love it." And then it just cuts. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck.
What do you love?
Like just pulling guns up, arresting people? Because you don't do that for the rest of the movie.
So there's an important character that we're introduced to. So we meet. They're investigating the murder of this family, and they learn that there might have been a witness, and so they go to talk. They can't find the kid. It's like 15-year-old kid.
He's a 15-year-old like delivery boy for a local little like corner store.
Yeah,
who happened to see the murder because he was delivering and was hiding in the closet, so no one knew he was there.
Mm-hmm. So they go to his grandma, who's like live-in care for a quadriplegic woman.
It seems not quadriplegic, but heavily disabled, wheelchair ridden, and she's like She can't use her arms. I thought she moves it a little bit, but she like can't like really move.
Yeah, very very disabled elderly woman, and so they go in the first time to meet with them, and they're sitting right in the middle of the living room. She's doing this old woman's hair, and they're talking to her like, "We need to see your grandson." And this old woman in the chair is like, "How dare you, cops, walk into my house and don't even acknowledge me?" And they're like, "Sorry, whatever," but her grandson
Nick Cage did walk into her room, grab a stuffed monkey off a chair, and just throw it on the floor.
Put the monkey on the floor.
And then they find the kid, and they're like, "Great, this 15-year-old kid's our witness. Mm-hmm. We can't let him out of our sight." And then Nick Cage ends up with his dad's stepmom, his dog.
Yeah, he goes to see his parents and his dad and stepmom in a huge, those rural southern homes?
Yeah, that are like big, but they're shitty because like...
Yeah, it's really hard to maintain. Probably definitely was a plantation at some point.
But there's all over Louisiana stuff. They're like old homes, but they're not like nice.
Yeah, because again, it was such like ornate shit. Like, how do you maintain that once the
slaves are free?
No.
You just said it was a plantation.
But that's not what I was going to say.
What? What is his face? You need a lot of help. You need bodies to take care of the house. I'm not saying they should be slaves. I'm just saying you have a huge house.
Okay.
And if you're looking at a house built during slavery, he wasn't like, "And now I will clean this place."
So he goes to his dad and stepmom's big house out in the country, and basically his stepmom is like, "Your dad's got to stop drinking. It's ruining him. I'm buzzed on beer 24/7, but that's not the same thing."
Beer is like water.
It's like, okay, crazy.
Yeah.
And basically they're like, we're horribly disabled because of alcoholism and we can't take care of a dog. Please take our dog. And he said, okay. He brings the dog over to his prostitute girlfriend's place and she's like, I can't keep a dog.
So now his entourage is a 15-year-old witness to a quintuple homicide, an entire family killed with gunshots to the back of the head, and a golden retriever.
And his girlfriend.
Well, then he has to go get his girlfriend because his prostitute girlfriend gets beat by someone who's paying her for sex. And so he threatens the dude. And then
I'm surprised the gun wasn't pulled in this scene.
That's an interesting twist.
Yeah, like this guy definitely deserves at least like a butt of the like pistol handle.
He doesn't get
pistol
any
whip.
of that. But now his entourage is 15-year-old witness, prostitute girlfriend, dog. And he's like, I know the perfect place for us to go. It's a casino because I need to check on my gambling debt.
He checks on his gambling debt.
While driving the car with this 15-year-old boy, he does cocaine.
He does more cocaine.
Believing the boy to be asleep. He's not. He sees him do it. And that's an interesting thing to point out. We might stop mentioning all the cocaine and crack he's smoking.
Every scene he's in, there is a drug. Whether it's him taking his prescription Vicodin, there's a scene where he smokes weed. He does cocaine numerous times throughout the film. Crack.
And we don't mean smokes weed like, yeah, he smokes weed. I mean, he pulls out a joint while interrogating a dude in the house with cops outside the dude and says, I'm okay. You can smoke weed with me and we'll be chill. And the dude doesn't fall for it because he's like, this seems like a very obvious trap. When in reality, Nicolas Cage just wanted to get a little bit high before arresting this guy. It's awesome.
I think the only thing he doesn't do are injectables.
No, because the one time he smokes heroin, he's like, I'm on such a downer. I need as much cocaine as you've got to wake me up because I need to go find these killers.
It's such a good time. So if we don't bring it up, just know it's always there in spirit.
It's always there. There's a ghost of Nicolas Cage smoking crack next to you right now.
Ghost of Christmas, past drugs done.
Ghost of Crackmas.
So he goes to check on the game. The game's not going well for him. He turns around and the witness is gone. The 15-year-old kid is gone. So he goes back to the kid's grandma, who's still, this old woman is still in the same chair getting her hair done.
And he's like, where is this fucking kid? And they're like, he's gone. He doesn't need you, blah, blah, blah.
It's like he does if he doesn't want to be a witness, he doesn't have to be a witness.
And he goes, lady, I've slept an hour and a half in 3 days. I'm trying to solve a murder.
I'm trying to be polite, but I feel like my politeness is getting in the way of my effectiveness.
And then he pulls the oxygen out of that disabled woman and holds it tight so she starts choking. And he looks at the caretaker and he says, you're an old black woman and I'm a cop in Louisiana. If she is found dead, they will take my word versus yours and you will go to jail for the rest of your old life. And the old woman is tweaking kind of and choking. And he's like, make your choice. And eventually they tell him, I put my kid on a plane ticket to England because this old woman that she's caring for cares about the kid. You can't touch him anymore. And he goes, bullshit. And then he turns to leave the scene. And then
the scene's over. He's mad. He didn't get what he wanted. He's going to leave.
Then he turns back around and he goes, I fucking hate both of you.
Fuck you, like pointing at him, fuck you and fuck you.
And they're getting more and more shocked. He almost killed this woman. And he goes, I should just blow your fucking brains out.
And he pulls the gun.
Puts the magnum to this 70-year-old like she just cares for the elderly. She's an old woman who cares for even older disabled people. And he puts a magnum to her head and he's like, you're what, like getting in the way. I hate you. I hate both of you. He calls him some shit. And then he says to the woman, you're what's wrong with this country. The older disabled woman.
You're what's ruining this country.
Because you're old and you're not helping anyone. You're just dying alone here.
At one point, he's like, wouldn't it be for the best if you just bought it? You're sapping up your kid's inheritance with all this worthless oxygen.
Incredible scene. You and I were like leaning forward. It takes a lot to like, we'll get into a movie, but for both of us to be like we were taught, we had a comment about something and then we stopped and we're like, 1 second. And then just like, where's this going now? Gloves are off. He hasn't shot a single person, but he's crazier than any star I've ever seen.
again, like this movie is incredible if for anything other than you don't know what's coming out of Nicolas Cage's mouth next.
And because he does this leads to an internal investigation, which leads to his badge and gun getting pulled.
And then he immediately talks to his friend Michael Shannon and tells him to go get it for him.
Because he gets kicked down to being like inventory duty. And you know what he does? He inventories the drugs into his pockets.
Yep. And Michael Shannon's like, he's like hiding from the cameras to do this, and Michael Shannon is just like, I'm not really comfortable with you doing it like right in front of me. He's like, cool, you can go to this other precinct and work inventory there. While you're there, get my gun. And he does. And then we never see the handoff, but it's just in the next scene, he's got his gun again.
It's awesome. And he's just,
at this point,
the cops have shunned him.
Mobsters show up about different debts, like to his girlfriend's place.
So those mobsters, the $50,000 mobsters, are related to the dude who punched his girlfriend.
Oh, okay. The dude who's like, my dad's a congressman who knows a guy.
And so he now owes mobsters $50,000. He's down on gambling debts $5,000. He's cut off from the police force and he's running out of drugs, and he goes, you know what I need to work with?
Exhibit.
Yeah. Who's been in the movie a very little bit, but you know him, and you know for sure he's the one that killed that family.
He's the villain of the movie. A traditional cop movie would tell you Exhibit's the bad guy. They're gonna, have a confrontation. There's gonna be a shootout, and there's this whole setup where Nick Cage goes into a bar where Exhibit's having, dinner with his friends, and he's just like, "Hey, can I talk to you outside?" And they're like, "Man, what are you doing with this cop?" And he's like, "Hey, he just wants to talk to me. He's not gonna kill me." Goes out there, and normally how this shakes out is a mobster goes to a cop and says, "I got dirt on you. You're on my payroll now. You work for me." Instead, Nick Cage turns around and says, "Hey, you want a guy on the inside to tell you when the DA is about to crack down on your drug ring?"
And you're waiting for the twist or the side angle that Nick Cage is running. There isn't one.
No, there is no setup. This isn't much like Exhibit. We thought this was a setup.
Yeah.
Or you would think this is a setup. No, he just wanted to work with the guy getting the drugs because he wanted them more directly, and also they would pay him so he could start paying off his debts.
And again, it's a fucking incredible line. I don't remember word for word, but when Exhibit is like, so you don't care about these murders anymore? And he says,
look at me, look at you. I never have.
And he just goes back to his fucking car. He's like, I didn't care.
Is that a racial statement?
What?
Look at me and then look at you.
I don't think so. I thought it was a statement of saying, look at me, I'm here now.
But then why would he say look at you to Exhibit?
Because he's like I thought it was because he was well dressed. And
both of them are wearing nearly identical suits.
No, Exhibit was in a nice white suit. His was all matted and he's sweaty and stuff like that. It might be a racial statement with how he's doing it, but I just read it as him being like, you've got the money and the drugs, which is what I want. I'm falling to pieces here. I don't give a shit about the murders. I want the money and the drugs.
Okay.
That's what I took it as. It could be because he pops in a slur a couple times in here and stuff like that.
Yeah. To Exhibit.
And to the guy he's punched his girlfriend. It's an Italian slur.
Oh, yeah.
Out of nowhere. He brings up Italians and then also calls them a slur. Just he's like, oh, do you know some blah, blah, blah? And they're like, what?
Because I think the mobsters from that guy's congressman's dad's friends, I think those mobsters are meant to be.
They do end up being, but he wasn't aggressively Italian, and he didn't bring
aggressively Italian?
Well, the other dude is Italian. He's using Italian slang and stuff like that. But this guy is just a guy who's like, hey, I know tough people, and he's like, oh yeah, Italians, send your best.
What's Italian slang? How's Italian slang different from normal slang?
Oh, Stugats, look at this fucking, that thing.
Okay.
It's The Sopranos.
I've never seen The Sopranos.
Me neither, but you've seen Goodfellas?
Yeah.
Some Scorsese flick. You know how Italian mobsters talk.
Okay.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean he sounds like fucking Paulie Walnuts. That's a guy from Sopranos.
Okay. I thought you were just making a guy
No, it's his real actor's name was Tony Sirocco or something. He died recently.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the pointy hair that guy, if you ever seen him. Yeah. So anyway, he just starts working with Exhibit, and to the point where Exhibit is dumping bodies in the lake while they're talking about how they're gonna
build
develop
condos and stuff. And Nick Cage is like, yeah, I'm on
That's
board. This is
awesome.
a great place to build condos.
This sounds like an excellent way for me to get drugs and money.
He looks over and there's just a couple garbage bags that have been duct taped together with like dumb barbell weights also taped on them, and just in that goes.
Yeah, it's the shape of a body.
It's the shape of a body.
Not could be. The head to the neck, and you see the feet shape at
the shoulders.
Yeah. And he doesn't give a fucking shit. And that's never mentioned again.
No.
And he just starts smoking crack with Exhibit and doing crime with Exhibit.
He pulls out the crack pipe that had heroin in it when he had sex with that guy's girlfriend in front of him. It's like, this is my lucky crack pipe.
And you're waiting for the through line, the like second angle or like the reveal to the audience that he's working on something else. He is not.
He is not.
He is just smoking crack with a killer because the cops were like, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, well, I got to make crack somehow.
And his new best friend Exhibit takes care of his $50,000 debt. Just kills the collectors. They come in and they're like, hey, I see a drug ring going on here. We're going to take what's yours and leave. And Exhibit says no and blows him away with a shotgun he's got strapped underneath the table.
It's beautiful. And then
Nick Cage says, shoot him again.
And they're like, what?
Shoot him again. His soul is still dancing.
And we pan the camera, and Nick Cage sees a breakdancing man that no one else sees that just spins and spins until it gets shot.
Wearing the same outfit as the lead collector,
Yeah.
like red track jacket and jeans or something. But
and we're just zooming in on Nick Cage's face, and this has happened a couple times in the movie earlier, exclusively for lizards.
Yeah, there's like one point where like an alligator's been hit, but that doesn't matter. Nick Cage is going to talk to a couple of the people at the scene, of this traffic accident, and the scene's over, but we're still there because there's an alligator on the side of the road. And my theory is just that different people were setting up for the shot, and Werner Herzog just brought his own little camera to set and was just like, I want to film the gator.
But then there's an extended camera sequence with an iguana that has Nick Cage and Val Kilmer in shot, not moving, staring straight off the entire time. So like they had to be told not to move.
Yeah, and I think that was real. I think the alligator specifically was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, it'll be iguana themed. And you're like, what? And then after the breakdancer gets shot, an iguana runs by, and Nick Cage is like, man, crack has 0 side effects. It just makes you feel awesome, and all your problems work out. And that's what happens.
Yeah. After they. God, my brain.
He goes back to his dad's house and he finds out his dad, and he had stashed his girlfriend with his dad to like keep her safe. He finds out they're both in rehab together. So it's just him and the drunk stepmom, and she's drinking, and he's just kind of sitting there watching his bet go wrong because he tried to rig a college football game by arresting a college football athlete and saying, if you throw the game, I'll let you off and your drug charge won't ruin your career.
Mm-hmm. At this point in the movie, I thought he died.
Because he closes his eyes and then he wakes up basically in the police station getting everything he ever wanted.
The dude that punched his girlfriend is there and is just like, hey, I talked to my dad and, everything is cool. He talked to his guy. Everything is...
And he's scared because he says, I don't know what happened to those mobsters. However they disappeared, that's on you, dog. It's fine. I don't want any trouble.
Yeah, we're fine. Everything between us is completely good. And then he leaves, and then right as he leaves, his bookie walks in, and he's just like, oh man, like, because he was watching the game last night. He's like, I don't have the money, I'm sorry, I don't have. And he's just like, you didn't watch the whole game.
Yeah.
And pulls out just a huge envelope of suspicious money in a police precinct. Just big amounts of paying off somebody money.
Yeah.
And he's just like, good bet, and leaves. And then his boss comes in and says, we were able to bust the drug
Exhibit.
Yeah, we were able to bust Exhibit because the tip that you gave this other guy about looking for this crack pipe over at his place, and it was his lucky crack pipe.
Yeah.
It's like, we got the DNA off of it. We know it was him. We're going right now to go arrest him.
And so they go to arrest Exhibit. And Val Kilmer and Nick Cage are there and all the cops, and they go to disperse. And Val Kilmer, who's barely been in this movie, says, listen, I'm going to plant a gun. Let's blow his brains out. Say he lunged for the gun. And we don't have to deal with this fucking guy.
We'll take his stuff.
And Nick Cage says, I am honorable based on nothing.
Yeah.
I won't let you kill this murderous drug dealer.
He's my friend. We smoked crack once.
And so then he stops Val Kilmer. That goes nowhere. And then we cut to a year later.
So at the beginning of the movie, for saving that guy at the beginning, at risk of his own life, fucked up his back. He did save that guy, Chavez. He saved that guy, and then they said for acts of bravery during the fallout of Hurricane Katrina, promoted to sergeant.
Lieutenant. He went from
sergeant to lieutenant.
That's why it's called bad lieutenant, not bad sergeant.
Huh? And then now jump to a year later, and they said for bravery and for leading the investigation that led to the arrest of the murder of that family, we promote you to captain.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at you and saying, no downsides.
No,
He's never punished.
He got everything he ever wanted.
Never punished.
It was Charlie in the crack factory.
Yeah, and like his girlfriend is now pregnant, so out of rehab, maybe married.
Yeah, definitely married because he drops her off at like their house.
Yeah, pregnant with like their child now. And there's a point later, like at the reception of this promotion, where somebody's like, "Hey, do you want some wine?" And Nick Cage is like, "No, we're fine with our sparkling water." Everybody here is gonna stick with their
dad, stepmom aren't drinking. She's pregnant. She's clean. He's clean. And it's so perfect. We're waiting for it to be like a dream.
I thought he overdosed and died right next to his stepmom that night watching the bad football game. I thought he closed his eyes forever in that moment because it just cuts to all this great stuff happening to him.
And like he had this story about a sterling spoon he lost as a son.
As a child.
And he found it. And so you're like, there's too much good happening. But then it jumps to a year later and you're like, no, okay, we're in the real world. She's pregnant, all this. And we go back and you're waiting for that other shoe to drop. And the final fucking scene in the movie, we cut to him in a hotel room staring at a plate of cocaine.
Comedic amount of cocaine.
And his room service comes in. He goes, I didn't order fucking room service.
Oh, my mistake, man. Whoa. Are you good?
And
wait, you're the cop that saved me.
It's the dude he broke his back for.
My name's Ernesto Chavez. You saved me back in during Katrina. You pulled me out of that jail cell. They got me into a rehab program. I turned my life around thanks to you.
I'll be a year sober someday.
Yeah, in November I'll be a year sober. All this great stuff.
And then he goes, are you good? And Nick Cage looks up at him from a plate of cocaine. Like he's going to eat a bolognese of cocaine.
Again, this guy has not once acknowledged it. Well, he looked at it.
Yeah,
and then he
said,
kind of... Are you okay? What's going on?
I'm doing cocaine a la pen. Like, what are you talking about?
Nick Cage looks at him and says, do you think fish have dreams?
That's it. Like, just one of those things. Where's the scene going to go? Do you think fish have dreams? Not where I expected, Nicolas Cage.
It cuts to them sitting on the ground in an aquarium. Slow zoom in.
Not a slow zoom in, just holding wide, and we crop close.
It just crops?
It just cuts.
Okay.
But which makes it even more like indie movie. Like no movement on the camera. It doesn't feel like anything else in the movie. And he says, do you remember when I ruined my underwear saving you? Because that was something he said at the beginning. And
I got $50 underwear for my girlfriend.
Yeah. Chavez like half smiles and he kind of like snickers at it. And then we cut close and they're sitting there and you and I are like, this feels like an indie movie. Like,
this feels like a romance movie where like at the end of the movie they figured out it's just not gonna work.
Like coming of age, like you said, you're moving away, I'm staying in the small town.
Yeah, moving away for college, yeah.
And instead it's just Nick Cage and this guy sitting next to each other. And then Nick Cage laughs and the movie ends.
I fucking love this movie.
It's the more I talk about it, the more I loved it, but the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I might have to legitimately, this might be like Christmas movie. I love this movie.
Your mom puts like the original animated How the Grinch Stole Christmas in the VHS. You eject it, whip it out the window,
smash it against the wall. We're watching this movie as God intended on crack.
You passing a crack pipe around your family to
They
watch.
put coal in my stocking. That's not coal, but it's a different rock, buddy.
If Santa gave you rock, he loves you.
Now we gotta steal some copper wiring. Stripping Christmas lights off my neighbor's house.
I was just imagining the movie's playing. Your family's trying to watch it. Be polite, like, oh, John wants us, and like you run up to the wall next to the TV and punch a hole in the wall. Start fishing out copper wiring.
So not that part, but watching movies I want to watch for no reason has happened 2 birthdays in a row now.
Yeah.
This birthday I made them all watch Collateral.
Yeah.
And the birthday before I made them all watch Michael Clayton.
Are you gonna go for 3 for 3 with this movie?
This movie, probably not this movie. I'll probably do another like thriller conversation piece. Which could be this movie, but this movie's something special. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to show it to people.
Don't explain it, just show it to them.
We're watching this. Take a shot every time he smokes crack. Be dead.
No, I think he does more cocaine than crack. He does, technically speaking, he only does cocaine like twice because the first time is heroin.
He does cocaine a lot in this movie because there's a lot of scenes where he's walking.
Well, that's. I meant crack.
Oh,
yeah, he only does crack a couple times because cocaine is a consistency. Cocaine is his baseline.
Cocaine's a through line. Yeah. No one's denying there's cocaine in this movie.
I'm a cocaine truther. I think cocaine is the bigger offender. So take a shot every time he does a drug. We'll just
no, that's how it is.
And for the sake of this,
or you know what? Do a drug every time he does a drug.
Yeah, legally every time he
maybe legally don't. Maybe let's not sign our name to that one.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Don't do a bunch of crack. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do a port of call weed?
Light a Christmas blunt, and every time he does some drugs, light another one.
The Third Man is good.
The Third Man was really. This is what I was hoping this episode would be. I figured that given the topic that I gave you of just drugs, I didn't think that you would bring a very classic movie.
Yeah.
You know, because there are some big ones that have drugs in them, like Pulp Fiction has a very famous drug scene. But I was like, there's no way. So I wanted something, I specifically looked for something very classic, very noir.
Okay. It's a fun split.
Because I wanted that dichotomy.
We'll do this next Christmas. We might turn this into something else. You have a Christmas message? You had a Halloween message last year. Earlier this year. You had a Halloween. Do you have a Christmas message you want to put out there?
I mean, in general, around this time of year, people feel a conflated sense of like brotherhood, like love thy neighbor and stuff. And I feel like we should carry that all year round. I kind of want to speak to that every year with or without a platform. Just, I feel like every day is an opportunity just to be good to each other. It's free. Kindness is free. Drugs aren't.
No.
Drugs are in fact very expensive.
If you have the power to extort them, they become very free. So if you become a lieutenant,
much like extorting kindness.
Extorting kindness? Gaining kindness. If you give people crack, they will be nice to you.
Yeah. You're extorting their...
So this Christmas, go to your local food bank and gain some kindness from everyone involved.
That's not what I'm signing my name off to.
Okay. Well, Duncan wants you to be kind to everybody.
And John wants you to do drugs.
John just wants this episode to end. He's getting tired.
Then cut the feed.